A naked goddess reveals that a divine gift exists outside this world in another dimension. She notes this unique blessing unequally grants people extraordinary, unprecedented magical abilities they inherently lacked. These magically granted gifts are categorized into 4 distinct ranks, ranging from useless to standard. Furthermore, highly special bloodline gifts only ever manifest within certain highly specific noble family lineages. Legendary gifts possess incredible, unique powers that exist only once in the entire known world. Those unfortunately born without gifts are treated as incompetent, their meaningless lives cast aside in shame. Seeking excellent gifts predictably causes endless conflicts, with royalty and nobles constantly showing off their power. Driven by insatiable greed, great nations repeatedly invade other countries to secure these powerful magical abilities. A shocked father aggressively denies the ridiculous reality that his son Ars has an incompetent gift. He angrily expresses disbelief that Ars lacked his mother's talent despite the church's flawless gift identification. Deeply frustrated, the father curses because he specifically married a woman of superior talent for an heir. Panicking about his noble position, he desperately wonders how to prevent outsiders from discovering his child. Reaching for the metal door handle, the furious father decisively concludes that his son shouldn't exist. He angrily demands Ars from his horrified wife, fully intending to secretly dispose of the baby. His shocked wife questions his seriousness, but he coldly rejects needing an incompetent, entirely useless son. The violently coughing mother desperately begs him to stop, but he fiercely insists Ars will bane them. He warns his physically weak wife not to overexert herself and selfishly demands she stay absolutely quiet. Gripping his pants tightly, the heavily conflicted father ultimately makes a choice swayed by his wife's pleas. 5 years later, Ars reflects that his father confined him in a tower instead of killing him. Sitting alone in his barrier sealed tower, Ars rationally notes his hearing gift merely sharpens his physical ears. His beautiful mother arrives, warmly wondering if Ars is mischievously using his sharp ears for bad things. She gently teases him about being bored, prompting Ars to politely apologize since he has nothing else. The cheerfully smiling mother enthusiastically suggests they study letters today, and an excited Ars readily agrees immediately. Ars sadly explains that his incredibly frail mother could only visit him a few times every month. Through his magical hearing, Ars always inherently knew she constantly worried about him even when physically separated. Ars consistently feels at peace only during these sessions, prompting his mother to abruptly pause their lesson. She gently asks if he is worried about her, while Ars nervously questions her noticeably pale appearance. Ars accurately notices his mother's heartbeat sounds unusually weak, internally comparing it to a small animal's pulse. Smiling warmly, she openly admits she isn't completely healthy but feels genuinely happy that Ars deeply worries. She softly hands him a cross necklace, gently telling kind Ars to eventually give it to his father. Winking playfully, she humorously claims to have magically cursed the cross necklace so they will get along. She dreamily thinks about how incredibly wonderful it would be if their entire family could play outside. Suddenly coughing up a terrifying handful of blood, the collapsing mother expresses she would be happy too. Apologizing to Ars for being tired, the heavily bleeding mother abruptly excuses herself to her private room. As she slowly leaves, she tenderly tells a deeply concerned Ars to definitely stay well and take care. She thoughtfully thinks about wanting to watch over Ars longer and privately apologizes to Orpheus regarding her health. Her strict husband Orpheus coldly questions why Philia cares so remarkably much about their entirely defective, reckless son. Philia playfully asks if he is jealous, while Orpheus sternly advises her to stop wasting her precious time. Philia calmly explains that the presence or absence of magical talent holds absolutely no importance to her personally. She firmly demands Orpheus face Ars, proudly declaring her life significantly improved because he mercifully spared the child. Smiling warmly, Philia begs Orpheus to treasure their child when she is gone as his life changes. Several months later, a deeply confused Ars questions why his father is visiting, while Orpheus clicks his tongue. Orpheus coldly states it was Philia's last will for Ars to live freely, confusing the young boy. Calling him incompetent and stupid, Orpheus bluntly reveals that Philia has tragically died from her severe illness. Stating his thoughts differ from Philia's, Orpheus aggressively refuses to free Ars and promises ruthless new methods. Orpheus delays immediate magical development for Philia's sake, warning the weeping Ars to quickly prepare himself instead. Burning his hand with magic, Orpheus demands Ars quickly change his gift while promising to heal him. This forbidden magical development technique utilizes excruciating external pain as stimulus, effectively acting as brutal artificial torture. After losing his wife, an obsessed Orpheus violently tortures Ars for pride, despite gifts never actually changing. Chained alone, Ars apologizes to his mother for failing to get along with his dangerously ignorant father. Shortly after Philia died, Ars felt his hearing gift miraculously evolve, allowing him to easily reproduce magic. Determined to master his newly evolved abilities, Ars firmly resolves to gather vast knowledge from around the world. Igniting an insatiable thirst, the world's vast knowledge became a powerful catalyst for Ars constantly listening everywhere. Deeply captivated by magic, Ars discovers his hearing gift possesses very few restrictions on learning magical abilities. Having inherited excellent magical talent from his mother, Ars remains completely oblivious to his own bottomless power. Chained for about 10 years enduring unnecessary development, Ars calmly reflects that his quiet confinement held merits. The extremely quiet prison environment perfectly maximized his learning efficiency by flawlessly preventing distracting ambient background noises. Staring coldly forward, Ars firmly concludes he possesses absolutely no lingering emotional attachment to this terrible place. Acknowledging his vast inexperience, Ars confidently believes he could defeat Orpheus but remains unsure about worldly opponents. After enduring a very long imprisonment, Ars eagerly looks forward to whatever exciting adventures inevitably come next. Orpheus tosses a pathetic piece of bread onto the floor, announcing dinner while mocking the small portion. Calling him worse than a freeloader, Orpheus angrily asks if Ars is demanding more magical development torture. Orpheus declares further torture entirely pointless since 16 years of brutal methods provoked absolutely no hearing reactions. Orpheus arrogantly reveals that Ars's younger brother inherited the powerful bloodline gift and became the new heir. Promising only enough basic food for survival, Orpheus indifferently dismisses Ars's calm questions about his future fate. Remembering his mother's loving embrace, Ars fondly recalls Philia promising to set him free when time arrived. Realizing the perfect timing of his father's abandonment, Ars quietly acknowledges the situation and prepares his escape. Standing up tall, Ars boldly declares their final goodbye, shocking his heavily confused and oblivious cruel father. Summoning a brightly glowing magic circle from his chained hand, Ars calmly announces his immediate permanent departure. With a massive magical impact, Ars violently shatters his heavy metal restraints and breaks completely entirely free. Orpheus watches in absolute disbelief as Ars powerfully blasts a gigantic escape hole through the solid wall. The incredibly arrogant Orpheus struggles to comprehend the incredible magic displayed by his supposedly incompetent hearing-gifted son. Ars carefully analyzes the surprisingly powerful destruction, incorrectly assuming Orpheus's heavily reinforced tower barrier simply weakened naturally. Walking freely away, Ars completely ignores Orpheus muttering that the impenetrable barrier was heavily reinforced just yesterday. Stating there is absolutely nothing left to formally learn, Ars eagerly anticipates battling the legendary magic pinnacles. Looking boldly toward the vibrant horizon, Ars passionately vows to ultimately discover and learn unparalleled unknown magics. A stunned Orpheus frantically yells for Ars to wait after magically vanishing toward the true magical pinnacle. Meanwhile, a desperate female figure sprints frantically through a dense forest, her shoes pounding against dirt paths. Screaming in sudden pain, the exhausted fleeing girl collapses heavily, desperately wishing she could remove her restraints. Bound tightly by mysterious glowing magical restraints, the terrified girl confusingly questions what on earth is happening. Realizing her inevitable capture, Princess Yulia is greeted by a mysterious armored man. 5 armored individuals surround her, mockingly calling this forest encounter an unusual coincidence. Yulia claims she just wanted fresh air after long confinement, pretending to stroll. The mysterious leader mockingly apologizes for their sudden rudeness while declaring her stroll over. Surrounding her with drawn swords, the furious leader bitterly blames Yulia for losing mags. He firmly orders the captured princess to stop resisting and return to being imprisoned. He proudly reveals the emperor directly ordered his specialized squad to safely escort her. Yulia fiercely warns against injuring her, but the leader cruelly threatens violent humiliation. Pinning the struggling princess down, the ruthless leader terrifyingly implies abandoning their secondary restraint. Conceding absolute defeat, Yulia obediently promises peaceful surrender if they untie her bound feet. The smug leader proudly begins introducing himself while ordering the restrictive magic immediately dispelled. Before squad leader Rek can properly finish speaking, a sudden violent impact crushes his face. Bleeding heavily, a furious Rek aggressively orders his panicked men to forcefully hold Yulia. The terrified princess gasps painfully as the heavily armored soldiers aggressively force her down. Enraged beyond reason, Rek viciously orders his hesitant men to ruthlessly amputate her limbs. He sadistically rationalizes that violently dismembering her is acceptable since magical healing remains possible. As Yulia desperately screams for help, the aggressive soldiers suddenly freeze in utter confusion. A mysterious newcomer casually interrupts the tense situation, mockingly noting the surprisingly fragile swords. Standing amidst shattered weapons, Ars casually apologizes for interrupting because he needs some information. Wondering if her sudden rescuer saved her, Yuria watches a startled knight demand the stranger's identity. Bleeding heavily, the furious knight aggressively questions if the boy used that mysterious technique without knowing them. Ars mockingly calls the Earth Empire's magic knights absolute fools for cowardly surrounding a single helpless woman. Feeling deeply insulted by a mere brat, the furious knight aggressively orders the mocking boy to leave. Ars confidently remarks he heard they were supposed geniuses before admitting this is his first human test. Unleashing a sudden burst of overwhelming magical power, Ars creates a massive impact that strikes the knights. Watching the powerful magic blast the armored knight, a shocked Yuria realizes the devastating spell was chantless. Seeing the heavily armored knight slump against a tree, a slightly panicked Ars nervously verifies his survival. Ars awkwardly admits that was his weakest magic, leaving the remaining knights terrified about his chantless casting. Analyzing his wind attribute, the remaining knights desperately decide to carefully utilize their overwhelming numerical advantage instead. Having clearly warned the approaching knights beforehand, Ars calmly prepares to cast a powerful group-scale spell. Witnessing a completely different magical element emerge, an utterly bewildered Yuria questions how he possesses multiple gifts. Suddenly trapped by the dark mysterious magic, the panicked knight fearfully screams about his inability to move. The knight desperately tries casting magic before realizing the spell completely failed due to overwhelming sudden fear. Ars casually explains his unique magic directly attacks the brain through hearing while simultaneously shaking the ground. Looking at the incapacitated knights lying everywhere, Ars casually assumes the unconscious men cannot hear him anymore. Sighing in obvious disappointment, Ars complains about being completely unable to properly measure his own magical abilities. Noting her magical restraints are high class, Yuria watches Ars confidently approach to effortlessly break the bindings. Emitting a deadly magical sound, Ars shatters the bindings without chanting while a stunned Yuria watches closely. Yuria nervously thanks her mysterious savior before Ars practically suggests they rapidly move away from the area. Yuria warns him about provoking the dangerous Earth Empire, but a completely unbothered Ars dismisses her concerns. Ars shares his common tragic backstory about surviving his prestigious family's rejection solely due to his mother. After his mother died and a talented brother arrived, his father unsuccessfully subjected him to magical development. Explaining his eventual permanent escape from that miserable place, Ars gently advises Yuria to care for herself. Yuria internally condemns the unforgivable magical development torture while admiring his selfless concern for her current well-being. Deeply touched by his genuine compassion, Yuria warmly reflects that nobody has worried about her for years. Smiling warmly at her righteous anger, Ars happily changes the subject to finally introduce his own identity. Ars casually introduces himself before the beautiful princess respectfully reveals her full name as Yuria de Villieu. Hearing her prestigious royal name, Ars thoughtfully recalls a destroyed country completely conquered by the Earth Empire. Bearing the ruined kingdom's royal emblem, Yuria solemnly confirms she is actively being hunted by the Empire. Yuria sadly doubts her current royal status, prompting Ars to politely ask about her preferred respectful title. Yuria humbly attributes her previous escape to pure luck while Ars warmly praises her impressive survival skills. Agreeing they must leave immediately, Yuria forcefully pushes away the deeply traumatic memories of her recent capture. Yuria curiously asks about his upcoming destination, prompting Ars to mention his plans regarding the Magic City. The legendary Magic City is a massive independent sanctuary ruled entirely by the fiercely autonomous Magic Association. Dubbed the absolute center of the world, this incredible sanctuary constantly gathers unparalleled magical wisdom and gifts. Ars brightly explains he wants to finally meet someone who previously expressed great interest in visiting there. Hearing his destination, a hopeful Yuria politely asks if she can safely accompany him to the city. Despite actively being hunted by the dangerous empire, Yuria nervously admits she also originally planned traveling there. Nodding in quiet agreement, Yuria firmly acknowledges the extreme difficulty of resisting the empire's relentless pursuit alone. Rs kindly agrees to go together, believing it will be absolutely fine since it is the independent magic city. Thanking him deeply, Yuria offers to securely guide him while Ars eagerly anticipates having a reliable traveling companion. After Yuria enthusiastically agrees to depart, Ars casually notes it should take about a day to reach the magic city. While walking together, Yuria politely asks about Ars's mysterious gift since he casually used multiple impressive magic types earlier. Ars dismissively clarifies that his only gift is hearing, leaving Yuria awkwardly wondering if she asked something deeply inappropriate. Visibly confused about the hearing gift, Yuria points out his magic usage while Ars correctly predicts her naturally bewildered reaction. Ars calmly explains that his initially basic enhanced hearing miraculously evolved at some point to allow powerful magical usage. Surprised that Ars inherently misunderstands his own abilities, Yuria listens as he claims he can handle everything except gift attributes. While Yuria sincerely praises his enviable gift, Ars bitterly considers merely having good ears completely worthless in this cruel world. Despite her encouragement, Ars cynically insists that simply overhearing random stuff is definitely not something he can be proud of. Smiling warmly, Yuria earnestly tells him to be intensely proud because that exact incredible power miraculously saved her life today. Feeling slightly embarrassed, Ars quickly changes the subject by suddenly asking the beautiful princess about her own magical gift. Blushing with a gentle smile, Yuria proudly reveals she actually possesses the highly unique white light magic system. Smiling playfully, Yuria asks if the rare magic suits her while a flustered Ars awkwardly wonders how to politely respond. Ars nervously agrees it is the perfect gift for a princess, making Yuria incredibly happy with his surprisingly sweet compliment. Ars enthusiastically recalls hearing that the legendary light gift possesses extraordinary power and feels incredibly lucky to meet its bearer. Finding her ability deeply intriguing, Ars eagerly requests a future demonstration while Yuria happily offers to show him immediately. Ars rejects her offer, warning that recklessly using her magic is like actively inviting the dangerous enemy to find them. Chuckling at his valid point, Yuria cheerfully agrees while Ars suggests they leisurely aim for the border after resting. Watching the setting sun, Yuria suddenly screams his name in absolute sheer panic as Ars casually holds a sharp knife. Holding a carrot and a massive cleaver, Ars casually offers to handle everything since they must help each other. Refusing to let him work alone, Yuria excitedly volunteers to prepare delicious sweets because she is genuinely good at cooking. Holding a simple fork and knife, Yuria confidently insists on handling the cooking fire using methods she recently heard about. Staring at her basic utensils, Ars bluntly doubts she can successfully ignite a campfire using a fork and a knife. Handing her magical fire stones, Ars realizes she never used them before because his captors only provided simple finger food. Feeling embarrassed about her lack of practical survival knowledge, Yuria gratefully accepts Ars's kind offer to ignite the fire together. Excusing herself politely, the beautiful princess carefully sits closely beside Ars to warmly share the small glowing campfire's gentle heat. Noting his easy adaptation, Yuria gently encourages him to ask anything since even she initially struggled with this rugged lifestyle. Ars notes her surprising practical experience, prompting Yuria to happily explain she was thoroughly taught by a highly skilled maid. Picturing a strict demonic maid, Ars sympathetically assumes the elegant princess also endured some incredibly tough and demanding household training. Yuria fondly remembers the kind maid who wonderfully resembled Ars, happily stating she did not experience many difficult training troubles. Praising her polished and completely unhesitating culinary techniques, Ars enthusiastically watches Yuria expertly prepare their extremely promising outdoor evening meal. While waiting, Yuria finally admits her absolute shock when Ars effortlessly broke her magical restraints despite their heavily rigged traps. Ars calmly explains he effortlessly dispelled the hidden traps, answering Yuria's confusion about why her previous escape attempts repeatedly failed. An annoyed Yuria complains he should have warned her beforehand because his incredibly reckless action completely terrified her poor heart. Agreeing that getting captured again would be terrible, Ars happily watches Yuria announce their delicious outdoor dinner is finally ready. Staring at the horrifyingly bubbly purple sludge containing eyeballs, Ars completely freezes when Yuria excitedly asks for his honest thoughts. A sweating Yuria apologetically admits her maid always cooked, falsely assuming simple observation would easily grant her complete culinary mastery. Ars internally compares the highly innovative purple disaster to a terrifying ingredient graveyard, silently questioning if it will taste good. Forcing a painfully strained smile, Ars bravely claims it tastes fine and encourages her to eat before it gets cold. With tears of joy streaming down her beautiful face, a deeply moved Yuria emotionally thanks him for liking her food. Silently enduring the culinary torture with a blank expression, Ars bravely continues eating the dreadful soup to protect her feelings. Ars mentions wanting to relax leisurely, prompting a sweating Yuria to nervously ask about his plans inside the Magic City. Sipping her tea, Yuria clarifies that her sister actually established a renowned guild in the Magic City and resides there. Setting her teacup down, Yuria confirms she fully intends to stay under her capable sister's protective care for a while. Explaining that her sister Karen wields the flame gift, Yuria humbly dismisses Ars's question about it being another legendary gift. Ars excitedly praises both royal sisters, identifying the incredibly rare flame bloodline gift as their vastly superior version of fire. Warning that the Empire will pursue her, Ars respectfully promises to avoid unnecessarily disturbing their wonderfully happy familial reunion. Smiling brightly with genuine excitement, Yuria warmly expresses that she is eager to personally introduce him to her sister Karen. Grinning confidently back at her, Ars casually declares that he is also looking forward to meeting the princess's little sister. After finishing their meal, Ars confidently states that it is time to head towards the border. Yuria fully agrees they cannot drop their guard while still navigating through dangerous enemy territory. Ars curiously asks the princess if she is actually quite strong based on his observations. He logically points out she should effortlessly use the stolen sword she brought along. Yuria confidently confirms his accurate guess while proudly claiming she is quite skilled with swords. She bitterly explains her capture occurred solely because the enemies completely sealed her magical gift. Ars stares with expectant eyes while eagerly expressing immense curiosity to witness her confident swordsmanship. Sweating nervously under his